Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Cioffi. It's Wednesday, August 22nd, 2018. We're coming up on 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time, which means that it is 5:45 a.m. Hawaii time. And I thought I'd come on and give a quick update on Hurricane Lane as it continues to move on a west-northwesterly course and drawing closer and closer to the Hawaiian Islands. A couple of things uh, right off the bat. Hurricane Lane overnight achieved Category 5 status with top winds reaching 160 miles an hour with higher gusts and a lowest pressure of 922 millibars, making this the strongest hurricane ever observed in that part of the Pacific, in the central Pacific. There have been stronger hurricanes in the Pacific, obviously. We can remember Hurricane Patricia a few years ago, back where the winds topped 200 miles an hour in that one, and the pressure dropped to some ridiculous number under 900 millibars. I don't specifically remember what it was. Um, but we are now at the point where we are just going to have to watch and see what the trends are with regards to the strength, because if we start to see a pronounced weakening trend, that is going to impact the ultimate track. So here's how it would work. If the hurricane is able to maintain its strength for a longer period of time, it's going to respond more to the steering in the higher levels of the atmosphere rather than the lower levels. And that would mean that the hurricane would track further north before it got weak enough where it would respond to the lower level trade winds and turn it back to the west. So it's very important that we see what Lane does from here on in. Does it weaken gradually? Does it weaken rapidly? Does it split the difference? Does it maintain its strength that it's at now for a while longer as it approaches the Hawaiian Islands? Because this is a big deal. Just a reminder, of course, the maps that you see here, I'll show you the Hurricane Center's official forecast, but as far as the other maps are concerned, and other things that we talk about, they're my opinion. Those of you who may be watching from the Hawaiian Islands, we welcome you to our YouTube channel. Thank you for being here, but you need to consult your local officials regarding whatever decisions you may have to make, and also get your weather information from the Central Pacific Hurricane Center, and you can access their website by going to weather.gov or just Google Central Pacific Hurricane Center. I'm sure most of you, if you're watching from there, know how to get to the website. Now, let's start off. I'm going to bring up the close-up satellite loop here. And we do see that we still have a fairly well-formed eye. It's weakened a bit from its peak from last night, but we still have that kind of buzzsaw look to it, as it's as often described with these strong hurricanes. That symmetry. Although if you look, the southern part seems to be a little bit more, a little less developed than the northern part, so perhaps it's a little bit distorted there. But the eye is very obvious, and it is moving along on a wobbly west-northwest course, starting to gain latitude. So it's crossed 15 degrees north, and if you look straight north from there, you can see the southern tip of the Big Island of Hawaii, which is at around 19 north. So it's about 240 miles due south of that southern tip of the Hawaiian Islands, and moving toward the west-northwest, and gradually going to make a hook more toward the northwest beginning later today and tonight. We're trying to find some evidence that there is some wind shear going on, and the wide satellite view, which is updating now, and there it is. You try and look for cloud tops that are blowing from southwest to northeast in nearby areas. As opposed to what was out there a couple of days ago, I'm not really seeing all that much shear here. So that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be later on. There is a trough to the northwest of the Hawaiian Islands. You see it there where the clouds are developing, and the clouds to the west-southwest, well to the west-southwest, yesterday were blowing southwest to northeast, but they don't seem to be doing that today. So we're going to keep an eye on this. The shear is the very important factor here, less so than the water temperatures, because it's going to be the wind shear as it increases beyond 36 hours, which is what models are indicating that will create a weakening environment for Hurricane Lane. And here's the Hurricane Center's latest forecast. They basically, what the Central Pacific Hurricane Center has been doing is basically splitting the difference between what all the track models are. And quite honestly, I mean, I don't know what else you can do other than that, because of the fact that the variables, as I spoke of, the wind shear, the water temperatures, and so on, but particularly the wind shear, the faster the weakening, the more to the right or away from the islands this is going to track. But if it only weakens very slowly, and that means that it's going to respond to those upper level winds in the higher levels of the atmosphere and move further to the north. And here's the latest of the hurricane tracking models, the guidance. And you do have some that take it northward, and actually this one particular model turns it to the northeast. All of them take it now, take it west of the Big Island of Hawaii, but relatively close. And you do have a couple of outliers that keep it much further offshore. So again, it's going to be the strength that ultimately is going to determine whether a lane responds to the flow aloft or the flow at the lower levels. And as you see in the corner, do not use this map to make decisions. Seek official information from the Central Pacific Hurricane Center. We can't emphasize that enough. And these maps, by the way, are all courtesy of tropicaltidbits.com, Levi Cowan's great website. And if you're weather geeky, it's a great website. And he also has videos, which I've put up on my Facebook page. He's incredibly knowledgeable with regards to tropical meteorology, and not technical to the point that you can't get what he's saying. So you can check out his YouTube channel as well. And actually, if you go to Tropical Tidbits, he has his latest video up there. Okay, and now I'm just going to show you, this is from the GFS ensembles last night. Pretty much the same story that we've been seeing for days. The members are all over the place. The average position is the track in black. So you can see how the Hurricane Center, how they're following that sort of consensus view. And how can you figure out what the exact track is if the variables that presented produce all these different solutions? So it's just probably best for them to stay in the middle, and then they're just going to watch. If it starts to move further north and it's west, it's east of where the guidance envelope of models are, where the envelope of models are, the cluster of the models are, then we're going to see forecasts adjust to the right, or the opposite is going to be the case. And I honestly, in terms of what I've looked at and seen, I really can't give you an answer on this, on how it's going to play out. Ultimately, it's really going to be those factors that we pointed out. Now, we did notice, by the way, that the new GFS, which is only out 72 hours, is a little, at least initially, when it approaches the Big Island, whereas we had it going over the Big Island for a couple of days on the GFS, it now keeps it further to the west, but it does hook it toward the northeast after that. So, and also you can see, if you look at the pressure numbers here, 966. Don't focus too much on the exact number. Just really look at the trend, because it's not really reading this correctly in terms of the initial position. It's 30 millibars too high, and it sort of holds it at the same numbers, kind of an uptrend in terms of the pressure, meaning that it's weakening, and then weakens very quickly as we go through Friday as it moves over the islands. Again, this is the GFS, because the GFS has the weaker ridge. Now, if you look to the north, this is the surface map. You see all these the black lines going as we go east to west. That is the surface high that's to the north. There are strong easterly winds here, and if you've got a weak surface low that comes into that, it's going to get picked up by those easterly winds and eventually turn it back to the west. All the models pretty much show this idea. So it's really on the basis of whether it's weakening or not. Let me put it like this. If we still have a strong Category 3 hurricane when it's in this position, would be far more likely for this to go to the right or further east than it'll take longer for it to go to the left. The terrain of the Hawaiian Islands will also impact the circulation to a large degree, although the hurricane is not exactly huge. So it's not going to really have a whole lot of impact until it gets relatively close to the islands. And then it is going to have some impact in disrupting the circulation. And by the way, I'll just jump back real quick. If you look on the wide satellite view, again, notice that over Hawaii, just some high clouds are beginning to approach the Big Island. The rest of the Hawaiian island chain enjoying what looks like a beautiful day of partly to mostly sunny skies and maybe just a few wisps of high cloudiness. So just to review really quick one more time, the Hurricane Center's position for this is as of let me update this to make sure I got the right time. Here's the latest one. Actually, I just noticed that they actually did adjust this to the right. They're constantly changing maps on this side with CPC and doing it very late in the game. So it's a little disconcerting here. 15.1 north, 155.3 west. Top winds are 155 miles an hour, moving west-northwest at 9. Looks like they've tucked in the track on this new forecast a little bit closer. You've got warnings up for hurricane for Hawaii, the island of Hawaii, and also for Maui County. I'm not 100% familiar with all of the islands here. Was there many years ago. Watches are up for the westernmost islands out to Kauai. This is the 5 a.m. advisory Hawaiian Standard Time, which is the 11 a.m. advisory, which would be 11 a.m. here Eastern Time, and we're coming up now on 12 noon. So let me just come back real quick, let you know what my schedule is going to be for today. We'll do our next live stream tonight. Our regular YouTube live stream will be at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, so that will be at noon time in Hawaii, lunchtime, and we'll have the latest advisory, and we'll look at all the afternoon weather models and see where they take us with regards to all this, and we'll go from there. As far as the weather is concerned here in the eastern part of the United States, we are waiting for this front to come through, and the dew points are going to come crashing down, and we've got some great weather for the next couple of days, which I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to it. Steve Adley, very quick. It has the Hurricane Center, CPHC, and this is, this is not to be construed as a criticism, because this is something that hurricane forecasters will tell you. Track forecasts have become much better over the years, and they really have. But getting a grasp on intensity has been a bit difficult. And yes, over the last number of days, the forecast was for this to weaken. At this point, it should have been much weaker, according to forecasts issued out a few days ago. So yes, it is the lane is definitely holding on to strength. It made it to Category 5 hurricane, which I don't believe was on any of the initial forecasts out 3 or 4 days ago for out to days 4, 5, for days 4 and 5, which when we talk about the forecast 5 days ago. So strength is tough, and the factors that we're dealing with, the shear, the water temperatures, the terrain, is going to be problematic. So in terms of the forecast going forward, it's literally going to be a hair puller from here on in as Lane gets closer and closer to Hawaii. All right, folks. So here again, 6 p.m. live stream Eastern Time, and then the Joe and Joe Weather Show will be on Facebook at 9:15 p.m. and we'll have some more stuff in between to look at. And we'll update you on that. And of course, we will be taking care of the local weather and the long range. Have a great day. We'll see you at 6 p.m.